Hey, beautiful family. Many don't understand when I say surrender to stillness, to the light of silence. Oh, that beautiful space of truth. They feel that this will lead to an incapacitated state, and that's because to the personal identity, to the mind-based identity, that the idea of stillness is, of course, it's death. And so it associates stillness with taking that identity and sitting still with it. And this is not it. The stillness that is missed by that identity is that it's a rising of the stillness that is growing nature and has the seed of your destiny inside of it. The stillness that grew you from child to man was not inactive. It was very precise, it was very wise, it was very beautiful, and it did a really good job for most of us. A better job than we would be able to do using our limited mind and intelligence. We'd forget something, forget to beat our heart one day, or forget to function our liver enzymes, and we wouldn't be here. That stillness it's epically wise. And so I want to say that when you come to that space of releasing your personal identity, and it's not that you can release it, because remember, the personal identity that you want to release, that's the you that you more than likely most are referencing. So it's not that you can release that. That you that even would want to try and release the personal identity, it needs to vanish. It needs to. And that only happens when you surrender. And that surrender is a state of pure listening to what the present moment has to say. It's a state of pure attention on what the present moment has to say and do and show. And the character, he can't come in and pay attention and make records and keep them. No, this is a state of no record keeping. This is a state of the ever-present now, the unfoldment of existence that you are a part of, the expansion of experience that's occurring. As the tree photosynthesizes, the birds chirp, they all do it in an instantaneous slice of reality, which is the only place, if you had no memory, that you would know you have. You would just be in the unfoldment if you had no memory. And so when you surrender to the light of silence, it's not that you become a nothingness and you become just a sitting person who doesn't do a thing. It's very different to that. You start to be everything doing something. You ride this wave of the light of silence, of stillness on the edge of reality. Instead of trying to control it, centralize it, separate from it with a personal identity, you just ride this wave on a surfboard and you just trust your body, you trust that the spirit will allow you to do it without a personal identity trying to do anything. When you engage the personal identity and start asking, how does this surfboard work? How does this wave work? Where's this wave going? What's it going to happen? Then tension will come and you'll start to wobble and you won't have the vibrance. The presence in the light of the vibrance of the mystical experience that is the unfoldment of existence that you are here to plug into as a state of pure attention, to decode and decipher the moment as it expands, not to make a record in an internal opinionated identity that you attack and defend from, but an experiencer of. It will take you. And when it does that, coming to you now, not as John, the birth certificate, coming to you as the speaker of the record-keeping capacity of this human form that you see in front of you, that spirit took over and moved from that light of silence present moment, speaking as that without a personal identity. Here now, stay with me, no opinion, no Googling, no centralizing, no, just speaking as that here in the stillness. Here, even in the chaos of the fact that nature's totally ongoing. A city is totally ongoing, but inside of you, despite all that movement, there is still the stillness. Because you are not keeping a record and inside you are... And you see it's the stillness doing it all. When you fall there and you ride that wave, the reality is that that light of silence spirit will start to build, if this is your destiny, things around you that you can't believe. And it will build from a foundation of love and care for the environment, care for the planet. It won't build from the direction of destroy the planet based upon the separate personal identity trying to regain the sense of peace and love found in the surrendered light of silent state. Instead, it will take you and build from the state of the unconditional love that you now are experiencing, that you are now a part of. You no longer need to work out how to love because your state is love. You don't learn it, you are it. It's there. And right now, the industries we see, they are making decisions where they destroy the planet and the environment. They destroy one another with war for oil, etc. Because somewhere at the root start of all of that is a human in a separate personal identity. And that separate personal identity can't feel the unconditional love of the awakened state. And so it makes decisions that are selfish to try and satiate the lack of that love and peace, to try and find it somewhere else through its own calculations, grabbing and control of the present moment. Never realizing that the very nature of the grabbing and the control and the seeking is separating it further and further as a point of awareness from the aware state of the unconditional love of the expansion of the existence in the light of silence. And so this is where we are, as a species, as individuals. The inward mental identity will always seek the pleasures of the world. The separate personal identity, whatever that looks like, if you formed it as spiritual, if you formed it as religious, if you formed it as awakened, if you formed it as business person, whatever identity you're leaning on, it will always eventually seek things within the world to find its peace and joy, because no matter the separate identity you make and cling to, it will always separate you from the peace and the joy that is your birthright, that you had as a baby, and that you can have again, but only when you surrender and return and peel away the layers of the records that you've made and clung to, and become, as Jesus said, unless you become his children, you may not enter the kingdom. Take your records away, re-enter the kingdom, and you'll see the personal identity becomes something that you just can't embrace anymore. And it isn't that you lose the experience, because you are still an individual expressing. You are still an individual doing and happening. It's just that you no longer have the clinging that the suffering comes from. And not only that, but now you have the benefit of the fact that the universal intelligence, cosmos intelligence, consciousness, the super consciousness, the spirit, can now, with all of its wisdom, lead you to a new life. A life that you as your personal identity would always not be able to achieve, because you wouldn't be able to enter into that flow of destiny that it has for you, that it had for you as this body. before you separated from this body as a personal identity. And just remember, if you're at that point where you're like, yeah, what is it that I need to do? I get it, I feel it, I feel what you're saying. What is it? What do I need to do? Tell me, what do I do? The one asking what to do is the one that has to go away. It's so much more simple than people realize. That most will spend years caught up in that trap. What do I have to do? What is it? What's that next step? Who's trying to take the next step? If not the mere story of you as a separate personal identity from the truth of who you are. And here we are. Right here, right now. Stay there. God bless, guys.